Hello coloring friends, so today's video is about our monthly color along. We'll see results of our April color along, and in April we all were supposed to color for the theme books characters. I like reading and I have read so many books, especially when I was younger and had more time. And so I thought it would be nice to remember some of the books, some characters, and to see maybe illustrations for those books, for those characters. I got not that many submitted works, 51, but from so very different books. Some more popular, more known, some less. Most of them I have read. Of course, there are Tolkien books like Lord of the Rings and Hobbit, then Harry Potter, Alice, Game of Thrones, The Witcher. These colorings books are quite popular, quite known, so no wonder I've got quite a lot of illustrations from those books. Also we have The Little Prince, some illustrations from fairy tales, A Court of Thorns and Roses, Pride and Prejudice, and also the Three Fat Men book. I'm not sure whether many people are familiar with this book, but when you will see an illustration from Hannah Carlson, Midnight's Masquerade, a doll, that's, I believe, illustrating that book, because the doll was one of the main characters. So it was interesting to see all those characters, to recognize some of them, to guess some of them, what I have colored. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to color illustrations from those books that I have chosen for myself for this theme. And the only illustration I was able to color is this one. This is illustration by Dana Derville for her book, Daughter of the Earth, it's called. And you can find these illustrations in her Etsy shop, as well as the book. She sells like a couple of pages with illustrations and with the text. And so if you buy everything, then you will get like your own illustrated and colored by you book. It is sci-fi genre, and it was really interesting to work on this character. She is the daughter of the earth. In original illustration, maybe she looks more soft, more kind, but I imagine her like this, looking more mysterious, maybe, black-haired, with these big brown eyes, and all this atmosphere, mysterious trees, night, and this fire. That was the fire that I had some trouble coloring. At first I used pencils and I didn't like the result, then I used gouache, then I used acrylic. But now I'm quite pleased with the result, how this fire looks, and to show that this is not just ordinary fire but magical fire, I added this white kind of stars around this fire. And so I'm happy with this illustration because it creates that atmosphere that I wanted on this picture. So it was fun. And so now let's see all the submitted works. Let's remember all those characters. Let's go. So that was our gallery of works for the month of April, books, characters. Thank you everyone who joined that color along. And now about theme for the month of May. By the way, it was inspired by another book It was one of the books of my childhood. I really enjoyed reading it then. It's a book by Jules Verne, French author, and the book was called Around the World in 80 Days. I changed it a little bit, and so our theme would sound as Around the World in 80 Pictures. And you can guess that we are going to color different countries, as if we are traveling around the world and either buying some picture cards or making our own pictures, some illustrations representing this or that country. Of course, you can color architecture, some famous places. There are a lot of coloring books like that. You can color costumes, people in those costumes. You can color some food if it's typical food of that country. Things like that. A very big choice of illustrations. I checked my collection, and mostly I have like Asian oriented coloring books in India, and I have one book with architecture, but I don't like actually coloring buildings and landscapes, something like that. So I have chosen different type of illustrations, mostly with people, costumes, and maybe some typical things like souvenirs or something from some countries. So let me show a few examples. Let me start from this one, Kabuki Theater. This is a Japanese book, and you can find a lot of Japanese characters here. Samurais, geishas, women, and of course the theater, because Kabuki theater is like a part of Japanese culture. So any picture would go for this theme, I believe. Then another book, Fantasia, Nicholas Chandra-Vienata. Of course, it's a fantasy book, and most of the characters here are fantasy styled, but there's a couple that you can color. For as example, this one. These are like very typical traditional masks from Indonesia. They use this for some ceremonies, some festivals. So you can color this one. It will represent Indonesia. And also we have this thing. It's like Egyptian amulet maybe. So you can color something like this, and it will represent Egypt. Then of course I have this book, Festivals of Nepal, and any picture from this book would represent Nepal. If I choose to color something from this book, of course I will try to find something more typical for Nepal. There are a lot of very interesting illustrations in this book. Then I'm thinking maybe this is my chance to finally start this book, Color Heaven Collection Costume. I love this book, but somehow I can't start coloring in it. Of course, not illustrations would go for this theme, because there are a lot of like this historical costumes, but there's a lot of people and costumes from around the world, like this one, Mongolian girl in traditional Mongolian costume. Love it. Or for example this one, Korean traditional costumes. Of course, it will represent Korea. There is also Thailand and India, Russia, Native Americans, Mexico, Africa, Maasai girls, India. So quite a big choice. This one also one African tribe. Then I have this Chinese book dedicated to Chinese opera. It's part of Chinese culture, so I think any picture would suit as well, and it will represent China. Then of course my favorite book, Moon Blossoms by Patrina Pallon, and there's a lot of girls from different countries, and Thailand you can find, and India, and Vietnam. There are a few pictures that maybe would not suit for this because they're a little bit of stylized, but most illustrations, I like this one, would do. And just a few printed pages. Christine Karen. This girl can represent Brazilian carnival. Then this Indian girl by Katya Suresh, more simple illustration. And I really love this Indian Sikh, nice portrait, a bearded man. And this one by Timsy Whimsy from Etsy. So that was my choice. Quite interesting, very exciting illustrations. The only thing that I need is time, but I hope that I will have, and I will be able to color more than one, but we'll see. I hope there will be no problem for you to find illustrations for this theme too. So I'll be eagerly waiting for your works. I don't know whether we'll get 80 illustrations as the name of this theme, but I hope, and we'll see at the end of the month. And that was all for today. See you next time. Bye.